It's the WALT Pod. Good to have you along with us. I'm Ollie K and I'm here in the world famous Bricklayers Arms in the heart of Hightown. But there's no club propaganda here this week. Instead, we're going to have a propaganda at everything that's been going on around Kenilworth Road this week. And with me are my co-hosts. I thought you'd all like that one. My co-host. I'm joined by Mark, Phil, and producer Wedge. Let's start with you. How are you getting on, Beefy?
I'm getting on great, Ollie. Thank you so much for
Are you getting used to that nickname now?
No, I'm not getting used to it. I hate it. I live with it.
And writer Phil, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, Ollie. Yeah, I'm a little bit thrown by that introduction. But yeah, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, feeling a lot better after a trip down to Fratton Park yesterday. So yeah, I'm all good here. All good.
Oh,
here.
wonderful. And filling in for producer Matt, we have producer Wedge. How are you doing, Wedge?
Yeah, I'm good this morning. Yeah, felt like our season's actually kind of started a little bit now. So yeah, good away day yesterday.
Yeah, it was. I wasn't there, but I did watch it, and a good point overall. But nevertheless, let's jump straight in, shall we, and have a look at everything that's been going on around Kenilworth Road this week in our news segment. I heard it through Rowans Grapevine. I heard it through Rowans Grapevine. Shamona. So, firstly, we got to talk about the Pompey game from yesterday, but I have to say it was a huge increase in positivity from what we saw against Burnley, right?
Well, I think what we saw yesterday that we were crying out for last year was some tactical flexibility. The amount of games where we were ahead last year, didn't shut up shop, didn't defend well. To see it yesterday, after we lost Kaminski, we'll have to talk about that in a minute as well. After we lost Kaminski, we went to the back four, 4-4-1. It looked really solid. And, you know, one or two chances, but that was all we gave away, which with 10 men is fantastic.
It showed we could defend, right? You know, compact,
Yeah.
2 banks of 4.
Yeah, I mean, it showed as well how important Ted Mengi is. I think that there was a couple of occasions yesterday where he saved our skin from them getting in at the back just in the last sort of 5-10 minutes. I thought that his pace and his strength was outstanding. And I think that he really proved that he's going to be such an asset. He's going to be invaluable throughout the course of the season.
Well, it wasn't just the back 3. It wasn't just Ted and Mengi. It was the entire back 3. We saw Amari Bell come back in, and Amari shows why he's so important, right?
Yeah, so much more composure, and you just feel more comfortable with him being there because of his experience. Really, he's just so much better being there next to Mengi.
And then what a start for Walters as well. I mean, you know, first game he got caught a couple of times too high up the pitch, but at Portsmouth, he looked really solid, but he looked great on the ball as well, 2 or 3 times, almost like a Ross Barkley touch in midfield, taking 2 or 3 of their midfielders out and then finding a pass. He looked really, really positive.
Please don't put Ross Barkley expectations on Walters. It was great. There's a couple of touches, but please don't put that pressure on him.
So in a fortnight, I've put Ross Barkley expectations on 3 separate players, including Jordan Clarkley.
Well, you know, let's have a little chat about Jordan Clarkley, because he, other than the fact that he was trying his best to get sent off in the game, he was. I don't know, maybe it was just a bit too much and Rob wasn't going to sub him. He was throwing himself about so much, but some of the balls, some of the chances he was creating, that was what we were missing against Burnley. You know, those passes, he threaded the ball in for Colton. Colton should have done better. He also got Elijah in there, and it's just his first game of the season.
I think he'd been a bit harsh on Cole Morris. It was a difficult chance at an angle, and he got it through the keeper's legs, and he just closed his leg at the last second to get a little touch on it. I think, you know, that's a 50-50 for a striker, even of Carlton Morris's quality. But yeah, I've been a Jordan Clark critic in the past. But that was the best game I've seen him turn out for Luton. Yeah, honestly.
Well, really? Even the playoff final where he scored at Wembley.
He scored at Wembley, but the quality yesterday, the passing, the presence in midfield was just one of the best performances I've seen him turn out for.
I'm a massive Jordan Clark advocate. I really, really love Jordan Clark. And yesterday, he didn't just turn, he wasn't just playing as that sort of little nippy, can turn on a sixpence midfielder. He was that horrible, ratty, short little midfielder. That
he was ratty, wasn't he?
He was. Bit like Roy Keane about him.
He was. And it was almost like it was almost like he took his his absence for the Burnley game personally, and he was like, right, this is what we're actually about. And I loved him yesterday. I thought he had a great game. There's not many players yesterday that didn't have a good game. I would say that like we just discussed, the back line were exceptional. We've mentioned Walters. I said Mengi for me was man of the match by quite some distance, but that's not to take it away from Amari, as Wedge just said. But there was some real standout performance, and I thought that the way that Clark was, considering that he was left out or he was not able to play on Monday, I thought it was a great first appearance. I'm really excited to have him back in there moving forwards. Yeah.
Well, the last thing I will say about the Burnley game as well, there was much needed context in the fact that they absolutely smashed Cardiff 5-0. So it sort of goes to show that perhaps we weren't so bad. They just took advantage of the gaps, the massive gaps in midfields. And, you know, I did say in my post-match thoughts that's up on our YouTube, a better team than Pompey would have punished us a fair bit more.
Yeah, we gave away a couple of early chances yesterday, and with a bit more quality, you know, Pompey could have had a couple of goals, but we could have as well. And that, you know, when we've got 11, that's going to be the Luton way this year, unfortunately. We're going to play that high back line, we're going to leave space in behind, and we're just going to try and outscore, because clean sheets are going to be hard to come by again, I'd say, this year.
They were more dangerous 11v11.
Yeah,
their chances, you look at the highlights, it tells its own story. They had a couple of chances where Kaminski made some decent saves from the header into the ground. There was a shot from Silvera who was impressive in the first half. They tried to use Silvera a lot, but his final product was pretty poor.
Just missing the quality, isn't he?
But the reality of it was that 11v11, that was when all the chances in the entire game really were, probably with the exception of what ended up being a tame shot from Joe Taylor, but the fact that he got all the way up the pitch on his own was pretty exceptional. So it was one of those ones where at the end of it, 0-0. I think I'm safe in saying that most of the away fans were pretty in the context of what happened, pretty okay with that scoreline.
I mean, I felt the first 30 minutes before Kaminski got sent off, we had more intensity about our attacking than we did against Burnley. We moved the ball out of the back three quicker onto the wings, and I just felt that gave us more. And I felt more excited by the way we played in the first 30 minutes yesterday than I did in 90 minutes against Burnley.
Yeah, Chong taking that ball down the left, and that first half hour, he looked really dangerous. Morris, Adebayo, everyone looked a threat.
I'd throw Alfie Doughty in there. I think he had probably the best game he's had in a while. That's the Alfie Doughty we had in the Championship before, you know, aggressive and winning the ball back and then attacking straight away. I thought he had a great game.
They're so worried about him that you saw them double teaming him every single time he got the ball in forward areas, which just creates so much other space. You know, it gives us that overload somewhere else, and that's going to be part of his game this year.
Well, Wedge, you brought me on to the next thing I wanted to discuss. The Kaminski red card. Okay, the yellow for time wasting. Yes, Rob said it should have been Ted and Mengi that should have got that yellow, which I understand.
Yeah.
However, the yellow card for Kaminski kind of saved us, because there were two challenges he made where he got none of the ball, got all of the man, and he could have got 2 yellow cards right there. He could have got red, to be honest.
For me, it's Dogso, and it's arguable that there's no covering defender behind him, really. They're all very close, and it could have been a straight red and a 3-game ban. So 2 yellows, the ref copping out a bit, I suppose. Because the decision's been made on the field as well, it can't be reviewed afterwards, so we're really lucky.
Wonderful.
It's going to be a 1-game ban. It's just a moment of madness, isn't it? I think Kaminski's got enough credit in the bank that we can't be too critical. We just, you know, we all have those moments, and blood rush to his head, and out he comes, and Karate Kid. It was a bit like, do you remember Luke Berry coming on when we were away at Palace and just taking out that lad from Watford? What's his name? The blonde guy from Watford.
Will Hughes.
Will Hughes. And that was Berry's only contribution to that game. Come on in the 80th minute, flying kick to the head of Will Hughes, yellow card. And Kaminski just had a bit of a moment. You know, we'll get him back, it'll be fine.
Yeah, post-red card, we were solids. You know, we sat in 2 banks of 4, a 4-4-1. That was lovely. I think if we just add one more, strike attack formation, I think we could have a goer, right?
I see what you did there.
So it's some sort of 4-4-2.
I know.
Revolutionary, that is, mate.
Yeah, well, Mike Bassett. It was good enough for Mike Bassett. I think it could be good
people-
enough for us.
People tune into this podcast for our deep tactical analysis and creating a formation like that, which is the first time I've ever heard of it, actually. I think, it's well worth watching us.
Yeah. Just a quick word on Joe Taylor as well, because there's been a lot of noise about him potentially moving on a permanent or a loan, but he cannot leave us on a permanent. No.
No, he's too good of an option. I mean, yesterday he took off Carlton after the red card, and you're kind of thinking, right, okay, Elijah's got that little bit more height. He's probably got that little bit more straight line speed. So I felt like it was probably the right choice, given how the game looked. And then obviously Adebayo ran himself into the ground. I thought that he, like I say, did as best as he possibly could up there on his own. And then you're thinking, right, what have we got off the bench? And it sounds really mean, but you want dynamism. You want someone that's going to give you legs. And when Corley Woodrow was warming up, I was thinking, yeah, he might be able to hold the ball up. He might be able to bring other people in play. But what we really want is someone that's played against Pompey last year, first and foremost, and also someone that's got that pace to get in behind. And he's a strong little barrel of a player. Like he's
stocky.
He's stocky. He looks really just able to hold himself. And when he got on the ball and he just decided to go for it, he actually tried to slip in. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Chong. He tried to slip him in, and then you could sort of see he was like, "Oh God, better carry on running then." And by the time he got into their area, he got the shot on target. That's all you can ask as a striker. So I thought it was a really positive display, and I think that it would be really nice if he's able to stay with us and get some minutes under his belt, because he can really do as a turn. He's different to what we've got. We've got strength, we've got height, we've got people that can hold up the ball, but he's got that sort of that pace and that sort of, like I say, that raw sort of low centre of gravity that will cause problems for a lot of defenders. I think.
A bit like Michael Owen when he first came out, that pace and that ability just to run beyond.
Michael Owen is exactly the type of player that I likened Joe Taylor to when we signed him. I said he had a touch of the Michael Owens, people that want to, call me out on that. Go listen back to the pod where we announced that we signed Joe Taylor.
Box, not Francis Jeffers.
No, not Francis Jeffers. He's not a flash in the pan. He's like the way I saw him play. It looked like very much Michael Owen, very much. He has a touch of that about him.
We would be absolutely mad to sell him on a permanent. Absolutely.
At his age as well, 21.
He's
There's a lot more. 5
years. He's going to be worth a fortune. Quality championship striker, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, let's have a look at some of the other news that's been going around Kenilworth Road this week. So, incoming signings. It's still transfer window time. So
Didn't realise it had opened.
Yeah. Well, it's shutting in 2 weeks. So Liam Walsh was pictured at Luton Town versus Burnley. I can't imagine he was feeling very positive about what he saw. But ultimately, Rob Edwards addressed it in his pre-match presser and said that he's been training with us for weeks. So, Wedge, does Liam Walsh inspire you?
Judging from his injury history and the fact he's made less than 100 appearances in how many years of
He's 26
playing
years
football?
old.
26.
He's
9 years as a pro.
He's a
9
part-time
years.
footballer.
So
Luckily,
he's averaging 12 games a season then.
But he's not going to be a starter. Like my opinion on him is, I think he'll be a very good squad player, providing he's managed. He had a very strong end to the season with Swansea, and obviously they decided to cut their losses because they thought, oh, he's got injuries, so there's no point in really persevering with him. But I think as someone that we can bring on for Tahith Chong when Tahith Chong is knackered, I think he can drop in there. Potentially, he can play in the attacking midfield role. It'll be even better when Marvellous and Nakamba's back to sort of sit behind him. But I think as an option off the bench, a couple of minutes, 20 minutes here, there, everywhere, I think Liam Walsh is a good shout, to be honest.
well, and what's Rob's opinion of Pelly? Because we saw Zach Nelson starting at Burnley in preference to Pelly. So in that midfield role, is that why we're looking at Liam Walsh? Maybe. I think we should scan his meniscus now for when it blows out inevitably in the Luton way. But yeah, the injuries a worry, definitely a worry.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Ollie. I think it's a squad option, isn't it? It's a little bit like Freeman. When we had him, he's a sort of player that can be effective, and he seems like he could be quite skillful and bring something on the pitch when he comes on, but not someone that's going to be threatening the starting lineup, in my opinion.
Yeah, look, we got 4 spots to fill now, what with Andros Townsend being confirmed to be moving to Turkey. I'm not even going to venture to try and pronounce where he's moving. Antalyaspor. Yeah, sort of is, I don't know. I'm not even going to try that. But yeah, I'm not going to say with conviction anyway, but Andros Townsend's on the way out. And to be honest, I'm happy about that. It was fairly obvious. We saw from the opening training day, just from training, he walked off icing his knees. His best football came for us. Like, we thank him for everything he's done, but his best football came before he signed that long-term contract. And he announced himself he was signed up until 2026. That's one, we don't disclose contract lengths, and 2, that is a long contract for a 33-year-old. That's madness from us.
You don't know how much he's bringing though off the pitch as well. That level of experience in the game. I think he's someone that I'll be sad to see go, because bringing him on 70, 75 minutes, the quality he brings, the professionalism is really hard to match. And he's played, at the highest level for a long time for a good reason. Yeah,
indeed. And also, we've been sort of linked on and off with Mark McGuinness, a centre-back from Cardiff. I can see us bringing him in. Obviously, prices are raised, premiums, because we have money, other clubs do not. So clubs have to make their money somewhere, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, we discussed this last week, didn't we, about transfers and how difficult this window's been, and we alluded to the BBC 3CR interview that Rob gave, and I think what's been difficult about this week is that despite after that interview, which I think calmed a lot of things down, and Rob speaks very, very well, but there was an element of help me out about our substitutions against Burnley, because when you looked at our starting lineup, and I know that we've got injuries, please don't think that's lost on me, I know that we've got a whole heap of injuries, but the fact that we put on Townsend, who he would have known was going out the door in the next few days, we put him on for like 15, 20 minutes, then he brought on Pelly with about 5 left, and you're kind of thinking, was that a message to the board from Rob Edwards saying, look, you've made me sign a 4-year contract, I've signed it, and I've been backed with a couple of free transfers. Don't get me wrong, we've both spoke glowingly about Walters. He seems to have been a real hit. I think that Baptiste had another solid game yesterday. He didn't do anything particularly special, but he did his work well.
I think he needs that Marvin Nakamba behind him, though.
He does. But the point I'm trying to make is that actually, where are these players that can sort of help us out? And I think that if we can get the likes of Mark McGuinness in, who's a solid, known championship player that's played at this level, that can go straight into the team potentially, then that's the sort of player that we need to be looking at to solidify what we've already got and enhance us.
Yeah, very much so. But let's wrap up this section talking about stadium news. So in Gary Sweet's programme notes for the Burnley match, he mentioned, interestingly, that we're moving straight to Power Court with a 25,000 seater capacity. Like, look, there are 6,000 people on the season ticket waiting list. Can we fill a 25,000 seater stadium?
Yes.
Probably. Okay. No. Contrasting opinions.
Yes.
Go on, Phil. You give us your reasoning.
In my opinion,
first.
Yes. I think that when you go to those open training days, and when you consider the list of season ticket holders that we've got, you consider how often you get asked for a ticket from opposing fans and things like that, but that are local. I think that there's been a shift, and it happened to have come around the fact that we've been successful in the Championship. We've spent a year in the Premier League. We've been on FIFA, or whatever that name or that game is now called.
FC 24.
Thank you very much. But the point is that we've got our stadium on there, and that we've become relevant to a worldwide audience. And I think that holds us in really good stead. I think that when you go to the ground, as long as we've all been going, we've got a relatively aged fan base. getting this
I
success
don't think you can say that, Phil.
apparently I can't, but I'm going to say it.
You weren't around in '88.
I was actually, but I wasn't there. But the reality of it is, you see the age of some of our fans, and that's fine. I love the fact that we still have so many fans that love this club as much as they do. But we also need fresh blood, and I think that the fact that we've been a Premier League team, the fact that we've got, like I say, we're on these games. We've got Premier League stickers. There's schools that come into the ground and like have a good relationship with the team. Yes, I think that we can. And if we're not filling it out absolutely to the max, we're looking at 21, 22, 23,000. I'm pretty confident. You look at Pompey yesterday, and it was like 20,000, 21,000. It was absolutely rammed. Can we do that? I think we could do that. I think that it's just about right. I think it's going to be a stretch, but I think it's right.
It's a very optimistic way of looking at it. Okay, Beefy, bring us back down to earth then.
I think 18 odd is our cap at the minute. If you take the people who come, the season ticket waiting list, and then the people who buy a ticket occasionally, now we can up our away capacity significantly. So we'll have more visiting fans. But I think 18 to 19, and it's no bad thing to build a 25,000 seater stadium now and only fill it 18, 19,000. It gives you room for growth. You can close off sections so you haven't got empty seats dotted around. So, I think 25 is a good number, but I don't think we're going to fill it immediately.
That's very fair. Right. Shall we move on to our next segment, which is a new segment. I think it was received quite well last time. Let's give it another spin. It's time for the WALT Wheel of Games.
WALT Wheel of Games, WALT Wheel of Games, WALT Wheel of Games. We'll play.
Let's spin the wheel.
Oh. No ums, ers, or likes.
Okay.
What is that game, Ollie? Tell me about it.
Okay, so no ums, ers, or likes. You need to talk about a player, a topic about Luton Town for 1 minute without any ums, ers, or likes.
Oh my goodness.
And because Wedge spun the wheel, it's Wedge that's got to do it.
Crikey.
So what you can do is you can talk about a Luton player for 1 minute. You pick the player.
Oh, okay.
You can move the wheel. Move the wheel so we
Move the
can.
wheel so we can see your lovely
This-
face.
Wedge is like, how can I speak about John Louis Valois?
Well, I think I'm going to speak about a player who's from the same kind of era.
Okay, it started now. Go on. Let's see how
So
far you get.
I'm going to choose Chris Coyne,
Okay.
the Australian centre half.
Oh, was
Well,
there?
it
No,
was,
you lost.
You lost in 12
you
seconds.
you lost in 12 seconds. Well done.
There's no ums, likes, or ers.
It's a very tough one. Don't worry. Okay, so Wedge is on the leaderboard. 12 seconds. That's all right.
Alone on the leaderboard.
Alone on the leaderboard, but we'll build up the leaderboard around him. It's
We love you,
absolutely
Chris Coyne.
fine.
Sorry we didn't hear from you, Wedge.
So sorry. I'm so sorry.
Chris, if
I
you're
won't talk
watching-
again.
Right, now it's time to discuss the greatest league in world football. It's time for Championship Chats.
Champ chats, champ chats, champ, 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 champ chat, champ chats, champ chats, champ, 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 champ chat.
In this episode of Championship Chat, we're going to talk about some of the games in the Championship that took our fancy. They just sort of made us have a look and go, ooh, that's an interesting game, isn't it? So, So let's start off with Coventry versus Oxford. That was a cheeky 3-2. What a game that
Hadji
was.
Wright, what a
I
talent.
called it. I called it in the pod. In the pod that never was. I said Hadji Wright would be
did, you did.
the player of the season.
I mean, Coventry could have had 5 or 6 goals by the end. The Oxford keeper, I don't know his name, but he was absolutely fantastic in that last 15 minutes. And it must have been absolutely gutting. In comes Hadji Wright just to nick it at the end. You named Coventry as a dark horse, I think, in the pod that never was, and I think it's a good call looking at them yesterday. Really, really good. And yeah, Hadji Wright, if he hasn't got 25 by the end of the season, I'll be very surprised.
They're only going to get better as well, aren't they?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they seemed a little bit ring rusty at certain points, but they got pegged back quite quick, but never sort of seemed to be too much in doubt. And even in injury time, you kind of think. I mean, it wasn't even through their own good play. Actually, it's really unfortunate for the Oxford player that he's basically played a wonderful through ball to Haji Wright. But the composure of Haji Wright to actually take it round the goalkeeper under that pressure that late in the game was the sort of class that he's got, really. And yeah, Coventry will be up there for sure.
They definitely are a strong contender for automatics, to be honest. That I've always thought that. Also another contender potentially for the automatics. It was all looking so good for Sheffield United, 2-0 coasting. The front couple of players were clicking, and then disaster. QPR get back into it, 2-2 Desmond.
Well, if you were going to pick a bottle job in the Championship, obviously you'd choose Leeds, but second in the bottle job table has got to be Sheffield United, and I look forward to them doing it over and over again this year, because I just don't like them for some reason.
Well, it's because they've been signing up every single player, right?
Yeah. And last year, Chris Wilder is just not a particularly pleasant man, as far as I can tell. He really rubs me the wrong way. So. Yeah. Sandwich Gate, wasn't it, last year?
He's just got such a sour face and such a sour demeanour about him. He's just really difficult to like, and I think that he's taken an absolute battering on social media for the way that they managed that game yesterday. Yeah. Because let's not forget that they were still 2-1 up at home against 10 men as well. Yeah. So it was a great finish by Lyndon Dykes to put it in that bottom corner to get it back. And like I say, I think most people rejoice when they slip up because he's dislikable.
The biggest take home for me was, since when has Lyndon Dykes had hair?
done a turkey, hasn't he, like that? Mark, what's his name, from Dorking, went away for 2 weeks and suddenly he's got a full head of hair and perfect teeth.
Yeah, well, I did also say in last week's episode, I think the only thing holding back Sheffield United, because of all the players that they have, the only thing holding them back is Chris Wilder, ultimately, and they will change manager this season because there's so much potential in that team. So there was a great game. Bristol City beat Millwall 4-3, and it was a right seesaw of a game, wasn't it?
Yeah, proper ding dong, that one. It's I can't remember if I had that in my picks as a boring 0-0 draw, Phil, but obviously I was wrong. Yeah, that was one of the more exciting games. I mean, a lot of goals this week. Burnley, the Bristol City game. Championship is really delivering this year.
I think with the Millwall one, if you're a Millwall fan, then you've got to be really feeling quite sour because they've scored 5 goals and they've got no points to show for it. In many ways, I felt quite sorry for them because you don't expect to score that amount of goals and come away completely empty-handed. You'd expect to score a draw somewhere along the line, but it's been a couple of freak sort of results for them. And like I say, it was one of those ones where it was up, down, up, down, up, down. Wedge was with me in the car when we were driving back from Fratton Park, and I was concentrating on the road. He was keeping me up to date, and I was just like, goodness, I literally couldn't keep up. You were just spouting numbers at me all the while. So
not helpful that it was in an accumulator and comfortable 2-0, and then I'm stressed because it's 3-2 Millwall. Yeah,
I reversed my accumulator yesterday and got literally every single result wrong. And it turns out they don't pay out for that.
No. I'm delighted that I don't bet, because it sounds like way too much stress. So we talked about Burnley briefly before. Burnley made it 2 wins from 2, a impressive 5-0 dismantling of Cardiff. But what I want to talk about, their opening goal. So long-time listeners of the podcast will know I haven't been Ethan Horvath's biggest fan. not at all. I think we had probably the best defence in the Championship the season we were promoted. And if anything, we would have been so much better if we didn't have Ethan Horvath. Like, I thank him for his service. He was there. He was one of the lads that were promoted. The best business we did was not keep him, not bring him back in, getting in Thomas Kaminski. What a howler that was.
His footwork is
What footwork?
Well, I'll get to that.
Sluga, the Sluga level.
Yeah, but yeah, it was embarrassingly bad for him. I felt really sorry for him yesterday because I mean it's one of the basic things that you learn in football. Like when you're a kid,
How to kick a ball.
No, how to stop a ball when it's coming towards you. Like you open up your foot. You don't put your studs up. And I know that when you're a professional footballer, you can get away with doing that. People will do that and then they'll roll it forward. I get that, but you're a goalkeeper and your feet aren't your best asset when you're Ethan Horvath. Make a firm touch. Don't let it roll under your feet.
His hands aren't too good either.
His hands aren't too good either. I mean, he pretty much punched one into the side netting as well yesterday. And you're kind of thinking, yeah, we've seen that before as well. I mean, we were talking about it on the way over here about his performance against Millwall, but for us, and you think he has got a clanger in him. And you know what will happen? We'll go to Cardiff and he'll pull off an absolute worldy 90 minutes and he'll stop us from scoring. But like you said, Ollie, I've really got a lot of time for him for the fact that he did what he did for us. He was in goal for us, even though he didn't make a save in that penalty shootout.
Or dived the right way.
But he was there. He showed that he loved the club. He celebrated like mad, and he just got one of those faces. I just feel sorry for him. Like he just looks like he's really sad all the time. And like I say, I hope that things get better for him. But it was an absolute clanger yesterday.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will get better for Ethan Horvath. Like Cardiff fans in our prediction videos have been saying, why did you predict us to finish 20th? Yeah, we're going to be absolutely fine, but. I guess we'll see, right? We'll see. Leeds and West Brom played out a 0-0 draw. That was one where we thought, Leeds could do it, but ultimately, Carlos Corberán masterclass.
Well, and I was expecting Leeds to get off to a strong start and then bottle it later. It seems that they've just decided to bottle right from the beginning. So fair play to them. I mean, West Brom I had as my dark horse in the pod that never was. You laughed at me. Quite a lot, actually. You laughed a lot, and it really hurt my feelings. I think West Brom are going to be up there in the playoffs come end of the season, and they showed that yesterday.
In all fairness, I completely forgot about Carlos Corberán. So I'm delighted that pod never saw the light of day.
Well, yeah, but the question is whether they managed to keep everyone. There's some financial difficulties and other bits and pieces going on at West Brom, but if they can get through those, they're going to be up there again.
Yeah, an interesting one as well. Derby County 1, Middlesbrough 0. I had this one slated as a easy Middlesbrough win, comfortable. What the hell's happening there?
There was the game against Leeds midweek, wasn't there? So they had a very, very tight turnaround, Borough. And going back to Derby, who played their first home game of the season, it was more difficult than perhaps it first seemed. Because I was very much with you. I think on our predictions, we pretty much all said that it was going to be a Borough easy win, sort of 1 or 2-0. I was delighted to see that Sonny Bradley started, so did James Collins, so a nod to the couple of ex-Hatters to get that win under their belt. And yeah, it was one of those ones, it was an absolute battering, but by the looks of it, it was a barrage.
It was 20 shots on goal for Borough compared to 3 from Derby.
Smash and grab. Good on them.
Yeah,
got FM'd for the kids today.
Yeah.
FM'd.
Properly FM'd.
And also next week's opponent, Preston North End, they had an interesting one where the interim manager, Mike Marsh, there was a club statement after the game saying, I don't want to be here. Bye. See you guys. Peace. And he's gone, so it looks like they've had a manager for every single game that they played, and they'll have a different manager as well for when we rock up there next week.
I mean, if we can't turn over a team that's had 2 managers in 2 games, then we're going to really struggle this year.
We'll see what happens.
They're pulling up Watford.
All right, well, that was everything that took our eye from the Championship this week. Now it's time for Mark the Hatter's Super Question of the Week. Mark the Hatter, he's put a question to us. Mark the Hatter, he's put a question to us. Right, chaps. So here we go. I'm doing the Super Question of the Week because there's no producer Matt. And I'm happy I'm not doing this one because it's a toughie. In the space of a couple of mad minutes, Thomas Kaminski received a second yellow card for effectively assaulting 2 Portsmouth players in Saturday's 0-0 draw with Portsmouth. The question is, Prior to this sending off, can you name the last 5 Luton Town players to receive red cards in a league game?
No, me and Wedge we were stood in the stand yesterday going, who was the last player to get sent off by Luton?
I don't think we had a sending off at all in the Premier League,
didn't in
did
the
we?
Premier League last year, no. Right, okay.
I was trying to
No, we
think.
were good boys in the Prem.
We were good.
I was thinking the last person we had sent off was Tom Lockyer.
That's one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Do you know the game?
No.
Okay. It was Burnley at home, 18th of February 2023.
Sonny Bradley.
That's one.
Yeah,
Okay, you got 2. Do you know the game?
I don't.
It was Nottingham Forest at home, 15th of April 2022.
I want to say Amari Bell at home.
You got Amari Bell, but it wasn't at home. It was Middlesbrough away, 10th of December 2022. Rob Edwards' first game in charge.
That was the Jordan Clark goal. Yeah.
Okay, so you got 3.
Dan Potts.
No,
No.
I'll give you a clue.
James Collins.
No, I'll give you a clue. It's the same player. He's been sent off twice.
Tom Lockyer.
No,
Amari Bell.
no.
So it must be
Hey,
Sonny
you
Bradley.
haven't mentioned it. You haven't mentioned it. No, you got 3 out of 5. So
Oh, the same,
Oh,
the
the
same
same
player
person
as
twice.
Edmondson.
one player has been sent off twice.
Not going back as far as Danny Hilton. Is
No, it's a recent one.
It's more than twice as well.
It wasn't last season. Think about the season before. Who got sent off the season before?
Oh,
James Bree.
No, not been sent off for us.
no, go on, you'll have to give it to us, Ollie.
Gabe Osho.
Oh,
He-
of course.
What-
I was there.
Yeah, he got sent off. Watford away, 23rd of October 2022, a game that we all are delighted to forget. And Norwich City at home, 26th of December 2022 as well.
And
Mark the Hatter wins again.
As usual. Let's go back, though, to the best red card a Luton player has ever received. And I think we all know which tackle I'm going to be talking about now.
Sol Davis.
Yes.
Stoke away.
Stoke away.
It
Sol
shouldn't have been a
Davis.
red
that
card.
never should have been.
He got the ball.
He got the ball. He got the player, but he got the ball.
Yeah,
So,
he just got
yeah.
both. A lot of both.
That's arguably one of the most famous red cards.
Yeah,
if
it's
you
gotta
take
be.
away sort of like the David Beckham sort of flick against Argentina.
it's still doing the rounds on
Zidane's
Twitter.
Zidane's
So-
headbutt. But it's one of them. It's up there.
Yeah, and I'm surprised it hasn't made it to the laws of the game test because that's now done online and there's clips. And one of the things is about how much force goes into a tackle and determines whether it's reckless or dangerous. And that seems like the perfect example of too much force in a tackle, just slightly too much.
But also
Sprinkling.
perfectly
The fact that you need
timed.
to speed on-
Perfectly timed. The momentum he got as well. I don't know where he was coming from, considering he was left back. He was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
sprinting off screen, like when you see it on
It's the
Twitter.
fastest he ever moved.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, thank you, Mark the Hatter, for the question of the week. You win once again. I think that's 2-0. But Phil, why is this podcast different from all other podcasts?
I don't know, Ollie. Why is this podcast all different from all other podcasts?
Because there's a joke in here.
I went to a silent auction. I won a dog whistle and 2 mimes.
Okay, guys, so there's a lot of pressure, or there's not a lot of pressure. It depends which way you look at it, because Matt tanked last week.
It was a
because
terrible joke.
It was terrible, but I think that a lot of people have said, oh, it's because we weren't quick enough to get it. So we'll see how it goes. So, an elderly man owned a large farm for several years, and he had a large pond at the far end of his property. It was perfect shape for swimming. So he fixed it up nice, and had some picnic tables around the sides, some tennis courts, a basketball court, and he had some nice apple trees and peach trees around the pool. One evening, the old farmer decided to go down to the pond since he hadn't been there for a while. So he grabbed his big white bucket to collect some fruit and start walking down to a remote area. As he neared the pond, though, he could hear voices shouting, laughing, having a thoroughly good time. And as he got closer, he saw that there were several young women skinny dipping in his pond. He made the women aware of his presence, and they all went into the slightly deeper water to conceal themselves. And one of the women shouted, "We're not coming out until you leave." And the old man said, "Well, I didn't come down here to watch you naked ladies swim. I just came down here to, feed the crocodile."
There you go. That's how you
Slightly
tell it.
better. Slightly better. It's still only a 2 out of 10, but it's better than a 1.
Good stuff, good stuff. Right, now let's look ahead to our next match against Preston, as well as playing the Sluga Six.
Sluga, 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 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, Sluga, 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 6, 6, 6, 6, 6.
Right, chaps. Next match against Preston, going for the trifecta of managers. What are our thoughts ahead of this game?
We can't possibly fail to beat a team that has had 2 managers in 2 games, soon to be 3 managers in 3 games. I think that's a 3-1 to Luton.
That's strong out of the gate.
Yeah,
isn't it?
straight away with the bold score prediction.
Yeah, I think it was going to be tougher than you think. I think that there will be, as we know, there will be a new manager. I think that the players will be playing for a new manager. It's going to be up at Preston, which is a long old trip away. It's ultimately an away day in the Championship, so it's going to be difficult. I would like to think that we're going to win. I think I'm being sort of very diplomatic here by not saying that we're going to have an outright win. But we've played Preston in the past. I mean, I'm still haunted by that wonder goal from Brad Potts.
What a goal that was.
I mean, it was an absolute beauty. I mean, it's one of the best strikes I've seen at Kenilworth Road in years. And that still haunts me because there was no way that they were winning that game. And we were absolutely all over them. And then, bosh, straight out of nowhere, they hit a wonder strike. And that still sticks in my craw, so to speak. And that's why I'm a little bit wary. Because Preston are just one of those teams where, if I'm honest, they can be a little bit boring. There's usually not many goals involved.
No.
They get so many 0-0s and 1-0s.
It was the start of last season where
they just didn't concede, did they?
Yeah. Six games without conceding, wasn't it? Or something?
Yeah. So I'm wary. I'd like to think that we'll have enough with 11 men on the pitch. I think that 35 minutes or so that I saw yesterday, and I don't see Preston being any better than Pompey, to be honest with you. No. I think that 35 minutes was enough for me to be confident that we'll go over there, and if we keep 11 men on the pitch, we'll take away 3 points.
Look, we are getting better every game week, and we're starting to see the benefit of form as well now. Wedge, what are your thoughts leading up to it?
Yeah, I think given Preston's circumstances, it's a game where we need to be targeting 3 points. Echoing Phil's thoughts, if we take those first 30 minutes or so of the Pompey game and turn that into 90 minutes.
With 11 men on the pitch.
With 11 men on the pitch. But even, I think, with 10 men, I think that's probably one of the most comfortable draws I've seen 10 men achieve. Yeah. But having 11 men...
What about Wolves last season? I think, Kenny.
True. But yeah, I think we'll take good spirit out of yesterday's performance and taking it up to Preston. I think we can bring back 3 points. I'm thinking back to when we was in the Championship and we took that, was it 2-1, 2-0 when Sonny Bradley and Elliot Lee got us those 3 points. Take that kind of performance against Preston and bring back 3 points.
Well, I'm quite concerned because it's Preston always are like that little bogey team for us, aren't they? But we should probably head into the Sluga Six. Phil, if you want to take us away and let us know how we all got on last week.
Yeah, so last game week, which concluded yesterday at the time of recording, Ollie, you did really well.
Did I? Yeah,
you did. You picked up 5 points yesterday, which is a very, very respectable score. And,
you know what? Like in the Championship prediction videos that I do on our YouTube, like and subscribe. Everyone was busy telling me, I don't know ball. And they were saying, the guy on the right, Mark Ryman, knows ball. The guy on the left knows no ball. So, you know what? Ollie K knows ball. 5 points, having that put on my headstone, mate.
Well, you got one bang on with the Plymouth versus Hull, the 1-1. Opposition represented last week by the PO forecast. They managed to get 4 points, which was pretty decent. They predicted a draw between ourselves and Pompey, so got double points for that. Matt and Mark, you both had pretty poor weeks, unfortunately. You picked up only 1 point.
Yeah. My advice to you all would be don't take your Sluga Six predictions and turn them into an accumulation.
Will you take my Sluga Six prediction?
Because you will lose your money.
And I managed to get 3. So At the moment, there are 3 joint leaders. So you two.
So is Wedge going to producer
Wedge
Matt's?
is Wedge is going to take Matt.
Yeah, you do Matt's this week.
Because Matt's swanned off to go to a music festival, and we don't know what substances he's taking right now.
Boo.
So he's probably unresponsive. So we're gonna be looking at 6 matches of next week, as always, including Luton Town's. So first and foremost, we have got Preston v Luton. So I'll go round us. So Ollie, what are you looking at for Preston versus Luton?
3-0 Luton. Clean sheet, baby.
3-1 Luton. We don't keep clean sheets.
Yes, we do. 1-0.
Channeling my producer Matt instinct, Preston 0, Luton 10. No, sorry. Preston 0, Luton 2.
Brilliant. And the next game is Blackburn versus Oxford.
Look, Blackburn just lost Sammy Smolik, didn't they? And Oxford look handy, you know. They can bully teams. I'm going to say Oxford 2, Blackburn 1.
Okay. Mark?
2-1 to Blackburn, because Oxford won't be used to playing in a stadium with 4 sides.
Okay. That's it. But they won't be full, because it's at Blackburn Rovers, so it'll be absolutely fine. I'm going to go for Blackburn 3-1. I've been really impressed by their new signing, Ohashi. He's scored 3 and 3, and I think he's a really good prospect. Wedge?
Blackburn 1, Oxford 1.
Okay. Next game is Borough versus Pompey.
Borough have to spring back, don't they? So I'm going to... But Pompey were decent. They weren't bad. Relatively stable. I'm going to say 1-1.
Mark?
No, that's a 2-0 to Borough. I think they've got the quality, and I don't think Portsmouth looked like they had it yesterday.
I think with a bit of rest for me, after that glut of games, Borough will be fine. I think it'll be a 2-0 win. Wedge?
Yeah, difficult. Pompey scored 3 against Leeds and then none against 10 men of us, so I don't really know what to make of Pompey.
Well, we obviously defend better, don't we?
Yeah, obviously. But I'll go Borough 2, Pompey 0.
Okay, the next fixture is Norwich versus Sheffield United. Ollie?
I'm going for a Desmond.
It's a good shout. I like that.
2-2.
No, 2-1 to Norwich.
I was going to go for Desmond, but I'm going to go 2-3. Sheffield United will nick it 3-2.
Norwich 1, Sheffield United 2.
Next fixture, Stoke versus West Brom.
Stokes' run has to... Well, no, they lost, didn't they? Yeah, I know,
We haven't mentioned
sadly.
it, so just be quiet.
Yeah, we'll forget about that. Yeah, I sort of put that result to the back of my head. I did say, maybe Stoke, it was just a false dawn, wasn't it? So I'm going to say West Brom 1, Stoke 0.
Okay.
That's a 1-1 for me.
I'm going for West Brom 3, Stoke 0.
My initial thoughts was Stoke 0, West Brom 1.
Okay. And the final fixture of the Sluga Six this week is Sunderland versus Burnley.
Oh, Burnley are going to absolutely spank them. I'm going 4-1.
Which number are you picking?
Yeah, 4-1 Burnley.
No, I think the Burnley train's going to run out of momentum, and Sunderland are going to hold them.
Scott Parker is a football genius, I'll have you know.
2-2.
So I'm going for 2-1 Burnley win.
Sunderland 0, Burnley 3.
Okay. We've got a whole range of different numbers there. So, like I say, I'll send some information over to Ollie. We'll post out on our socials some of the results as to how the Sluga Six is going so far.
Yeah, good stuff, Phil. Thank you for doing that. But that's all from us this week. If you love the content from the We Are Luton Town podcast, please like this video and subscribe to our YouTube. There's so much more Championship content and so much Luton Town content to come. As always, a big thank you to our audio partners, Black Star Amplification and Carry On, for just making sure that we level up this podcast with all these cool toys. And also a big thank you to the record shop in Amersham. You can mention the WALT podcast when you go there. They should know who we are. I'd like to think.
I'd like to think so.
They're very much looking forward to speaking to some of you guys. So head on down there if you want to look out some vinyl, some CDs, or even if you are actually looking to get a musical instrument. They've got a great range of guitars down there as well. So
Well, there you
go and give
go.
them a shout.
Yeah, and also a big thank you to the Bricklayers Arms for letting us record here. Get yourself down here on match days. Get yourself down here on non-match days. It's just a brilliant pub. It's right in the heart of Hightown. It's a historic pub. The Luton Town Supporters Trust, formerly known as Trust and Luton, were founded here. It's really good, and there's just so much good beer on tap, which we've been sampling this morning. Thank you all for tuning in, and as always, come on you Hatters.